All right, welcome back to the channel. We are going to be removing the rear steering off of an R32 GTST. The GTR has already had it done. Whoever did this did a hack job on it. We're going to do it the correct way. They capped off lines and left everything in there, which will eventually cause the pump to burn up. On the GTST, we're using an R34 power steering pump and power steering pump bracket, but it's also an R34 engine in this car. That's the RB25 Neo. We're going to be using this bar, which uses stock inner tie rod ends. We're going to get that swapped out, and we're going to show you how to remove the lines correctly, what to cut, what you're going to have to cut, what you're going to have to modify. And you'll probably lose about 10 pounds out of the car, which is a plus, and show you what it takes. All right, now this car has been deleted for a long time. We're going to be putting something like this in on the GTST, where we'll be removing the Hicas off that car. This car, I'll slide up here. Hopefully you can see this pretty well. They just put these plug kits in here and did it that way. Some of these kits come with a termination kit that removes it in the back. I don't like how this does this, because it puts stress on the power steering pump. Because now you're just capping it off and it's building up pressure and there's nowhere for it to go. Some of them have a loop that go back through. I would guess that may be fine, but you can eliminate this. And there's a bunch of lines up front. And after you remove everything, you're looking probably 10 to 15 pounds. I might weigh it. I don't know. We'll see how much weight. If it's heavy, I'll weigh it. If it's really light, I'm not even going to bother. But this car, someone's done this years ago on it. And the other car, I did the RB25 swap, and my power steering pump bracket wasn't interchangeable to keep the Hicas. This is the reason why I'm doing it on my car. That, and it's 25 plus years old. So we're going to go ahead and change that out and show you what it takes. Oh. Alright. Now this kit came with this right here, which I could use right here to loop these two lines after I take this out. I'm not trying to do that, just because, like I said, my car has the RB25 Neo in it, and the power steering pumps are different, so I'll show you the difference between the two pumps and everything else. So, but we're going to be removing this line all the way up to that guy right here, and we're going to terminate those lines. And then there's two more lines. There's a box and several other lines up front we'll have to redo and remove. It looks to be that I'm going to have to make a new line for the power steering cooler, which I would want to do anyway, because right now it's just a piece that looks like 3/8 pipe or whatever that just loops and comes back. So I'm going to change that out and put an actual cooler in there. I'm just going to use like a transmission cooler or whatever. I think I have one laying around in the garage with the parts room. So we're going to go ahead and remove all this stuff and fake this eliminating bar in there and get her to the alignment shop and get her on the road. Now way down in here, I don't know if you can see, there's going to be 3 10mm bolts. It looks like it holds bracket with some rubber insulators and maybe a plug and some lines, which I'll have to remove, and some hoses. 2 of the hoses go down to the cooler, which is on this car, which is just this loop right here. I mean, it doesn't really cool much. Now if you're just street driving the car, this is perfect. If you're planning on tracking the car, going in canyons a lot, driving the living piss out of it, I would suggest putting a cooler on there. If you're just going to use this as a daily driver, I would use this and keep this there. And the difference between the two pumps, you can see this one is a lot shorter. This one's off on R34. You can also find these on R33s, whichever one has your electronic power steering. I believe this is the line I'm going to have to keep. I will have to take the other plate off this bracket or modify this bracket for this to sit in there correctly to house this from moving. I'll probably just modify this, cut it and put the indentation in there so this can keep the correct orientation. Then it will keep it from walking and moving around. So is this a simple, bolted right in on this car because this is the original one to this engine. But on the R32 you have twin lines here, and with looping that, like I said, that creates a lot of extra heat. This is the primary side for the front side of the pump for your front power steering rack, and the back side of the pump is for your rear steer. But now you're just going to be generating a lot of power steering heat by just looping or capping. So therefore your power steering is going to get hot. You're going to have some weird power steering. This car has an underdrive pulley on it, and I would say they did that to reduce the heat in the pump. This car later on, they sell a kit. I wish I knew the name of the company that makes it. I believe they're out of Florida. I think you can get it through Raw Brokerage. That sells a kit where you can take apart this pump and redo this. I saw the ad for that on, what the hell's the name of that company? I can't remember. If I can find the name of the company, I'll put it in there. But long story short, instead of doing this the wrong way, we're going to do it the correct way on that car. So hopefully this is helpful for you guys. I'm going to get to removing some stuff, and then I'll show you what tools you're going to need to take it out and how to make it work on your car. All right, you're going to remove your nut here and cotter pin, which is a 17 millimeter, and then you're going to come over here and remove this one as well. And I believe that was a 19 mil, and then that will loosen this. I always loosen everything up first before I try to take it out. And these lines, I'm leaving them attached that go up here. I'm leaving those attached, and I have everything disconnected over there, which those lines were 17 mil, and the bolts that hold it to the bracket were a 12, and this was a 10, and the one up there I believe was a 12 as well. I'm removing all the lines all the way up to the rack, and I'll show you how to replumb the rack after you remove the Hicas. If you're going to, like I would say, a 240 pump or an R33 or R34 pump on your R32. So I'll get this out. All right, you can see the difference between the two when they're out. These are the lines I took out with the solenoid, and I clipped the old wire because I'm not going to be using it. That way if anybody else wants to buy any of this stuff, I can sell it to them and don't have to worry about if they have a good or bad plug or whatever. I am going to unthread the tie rod ends from here out, put them back in. I'm going to take a measurement on them before I unthread it and all that fun stuff, and fake it all back in there and get you a picture of what that looks like in there, or a video of it in there. And now the fun part is taking out all this stuff up in here. I already have some of it loose. You have two 12 millimeters down there. I don't even know if you can see it. And then you got a couple 10s, and then took the bumper off so it'd be a little easier to see. These are your power steering cooler lines. I'm going to redo those and put a cooler in the system, because like I said, I plan on playing with this car at mid-Ohio and on some twisty back roads and stuff, and I don't want the power steering overheating. So, and then let me slide down here. Oh man, you'll be take out most of these lines here and all these lines and up in here, and then I'll show you which lines you gotta cut or make a flare adapter to make them run again. All that fun stuff. Oh, I don't bend. And on this line will be the one you keep, and this one here will be the one you delete. So This is the keeper, and this is the one you delete. All right, I have the front unit out. I will have to remake the oil cooler line that comes from here, which I'll show you where that's at on the other car because it's still intact. But I removed this whole unit. There's two 12mm bolts here. You will have to remove the 14mm banjo bolt up here to access this bolt here. There's three 10mm bolts that go in a bracket that goes on the firewall. With my intake on there, it's a little bit hard to see because I have an aftermarket intake, but getting this crap out is a pain in the butt. But it's held on with 10mm here, 17mm bolt fitting here. I don't remember what size that was because I used a crescent wrench because I didn't feel like going in the toolbox. This line I just cut because I couldn't get a screwdriver in between this and my intake because I have an aftermarket intake manifold. But I'll show you where that stuff was sitting in the car. It lived down here, and I have most of the bracket out, which you can see they bolt in through there and here. That's the last bolt I gotta take out. But now I just gotta redo some lines. Like on this car, it's easier to see. Well, the oil cooler's in the way, and so is this rat's nest of other stuff. But if you have your engine out of the car, it's much easier to do. I had the engine out of my car. I wish I would have done it then, but I wasn't thinking. So, but this car has a looped system, so this pump is constantly hot. It'll have high power steering pump temps. That's probably why they put the overdrive pulley on it, the underdrive pulley, so it would lower the temps down. And it also has a transcooler on it, which is used for the power steering fluid to help with what they did, which is the incorrect way of doing this. If I was to do this again on another one, I'd get this pump either off an R33 or R34 and go this route. You will have to notch this out to fit this pipe, which won't take long to do. I'm going to do it with a grinder or a Dremel. The one off the other pump is a little bit different, so it won't work on this pump. So I'm just going to take in Dremel, take this part off, clean this out to where this fits down, locks down where it needs to be. This line, you trace it down, it goes over there to where all that other stuff was. It'll have to be removed out the system, and I will show you where all that stuff goes as well. I'm going to try to get that line out here in a minute, but it runs across and down along these plastic clips and over in here, so this line will be gone. That is that line that goes up there that used to run to the rear. That could be deleted. All right, we have the Hicas bar back in with the tie rod ends in. I still got to put my cotter keys in. I got to run to the hardware store and get new cotter keys, auto part store. I have these left off because I'm going to put some new grease in here. I'm going to put a couple pumps of grease in there on each side. Make sure you do that. And then I'm going to wrap some new mechanics twine around here. But all in all, that's in. All right, we got the reservoir in the garage. We're going to cut this port off. We're going to cut this port off as well. This one we're going to downsize and change the angle of it, and this one we're going to plug. We're going to use the stock one and something fairly simple if you know how to weld. I may TIG weld this. I might just MIG weld it just because MIG welding is faster, but we'll see once I get it cut off. But the bottom port, I will go outside and rotate it to the correct orientation I want, mark it with a Sharpie and 2 points, and then weld it back on. Alright, we got the plug in there. I'm going to go ahead and take that up real quick and fake that back together real fast. Kind of went around twice just to burn off any of that contaminants I had right there. because there was a little bit of a grazing in here from the factory. So alright, I guess I touched my tungsten against it, so now I got to grind my tungsten, let it cool. You guys get the gist of it. I'll weld this up and show you what it looks like when it's done once I smooth it. Alright, I have the reservoir just kind of sitting in here. I have to put a bolt back in here and a rubber bushing that goes in here. And before I reinstall this, I'm going to wrap it in this gold. So that's why I wasn't worried about painting it. Now, you're going to be wondering, what did you do with this line here? This line here is going to go to, hopefully you can see it, is going to go to your oil cooler. You can either reuse your stock oil cooler, which I'm choosing not to. I ordered one off Amazon. It should be in a couple days, hopefully. And I'm going to mount mine behind this vent here on my car. The stock one will work great if you're just doing daily driving activities, but I plan on driving the piss out of this car. And I plan on having a lot of engine heat from the turbo, because I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to plan on beating the piss out of this thing. So that's one reason why I'm putting a larger external power steering cooler on this thing. One, because I plan on tracking the car, and two, there's going to be a lot of engine heat in this car, so therefore it'll prolong the life of the power steering pump. I'm going to wrap this up with some gold heat tape, which I also ordered as well. That's one reason why it's not bolted in, finished in, and one, to keep the heat from this away from the air filter a little bit. I'm just limited on places to put this. I probably should have went with an electronic one, but it is what it is. But maybe we'll do electronic power steering on this car after I get it all wrapped up. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Hopefully it was helpful. And if you have any other extra steps and knowledge on what I've done and I didn't put in the video, please put it in the comments so other people can learn. Catch you guys on the next one.